Welcome back. We're here today with war number 5, and this time my alliance is going up against Matrix. They are an alliance that is known to us. We've had multiple encounters over the seasons. They're definitely a good alliance, and we've had our ups and downs going up against them. I believe last season we had a win, so definitely we're looking to maintain our win streak here. And for this war, I was assigned with Path 2 in Section 1 and Path 5 in Section 2. To kick off this war, I have Corvus Glaive here on the first fight of Path 2 in Section 1. So here is the node that I need to hit certain types of hits and keep an eye on those so that I don't give him too much of those passive furies. On top of that, there's also the node that you can only get power whenever you feel one of his bar of powers. So with Doom, it's quite interesting that if you throw your special 1, 2, and if they are, say, close to 2 specials or a little over 1.5 bars of power, it could keep you close to that range that you're going to power gem him below 1 bar of power, and then with a couple hits you can fill him back up into 1 bar of power. So I try to manage a little bit my hits here and not give him a lot of passive furies, because obviously Corvus Glaive already naturally hits pretty hard, and then if you keep giving him more sources for damage, you could get in trouble if you by chance make any mistakes. I missed one of my heavies there for some reason. I didn't have a shock applied to him. I think he had just purified or come back to having his glaive immunity, and then at that time he purified my shock. So I also had to keep an eye on that so that I wouldn't mess up. But the fight is going pretty well here. He's already down to 20%, and I just need to do a couple more of the same rotations that I've gotten to a groove here to finish him off. This is also not a duped Corvus, so I'll be able to, once I get him close to the 1%, just finish him off, and that just took place there. And to follow on that, we have this Apocalypse on the second node of that Path 2. Same deal with keeping an eye on my combos and the types of hits that I'm landing, but he also has Brute Force and also the Power Focus 1 that allows him to get to 1 bar of pretty quick, and then after that he doesn't gain power as fast. Here I noticed that as soon as I started doing my parries and that I had my infection up, my infections were doing nothing to drain his power, meaning that he had placed without willpower. But I intentionally went in with the attack boost to be able to throw my special 2s back to back, and I was pretty fortunate that he was also falling for my dashes and coming for me to parry and then have my openings to attack him. So that was a pretty quick fight, and it comes as no surprise that Warlock has become one of my main attackers this season, and he did pretty well for that fight. Then here on Section 1 as well, the shared fight between Paths 1, 2, and 3, I had asked for my alliance mate to place the White Magneto pre-fight. For some reason, Heat Monkey or some of the smaller champions seem to trigger a lot more that weird spacing that it creates whenever you parry them. So that kind of threw me off a little bit at the start of the fight. And here what I'm trying to do is go for some of my special 2s for me to use that as the way to reset those combos. Obviously I need to keep an eye for whenever I throw my specials and knock him down, that even though I have the White Magneto pre-fight, I still need to be mindful that he could evade my attacks. And obviously Heat Monkey is a heavy hitter with his critical hits, and even though Doom is tanky himself, I don't want to put myself at risk that he could turn the fight in his favor. So I'm trying to play very cautiously here to, whenever I knock him down, give him some space and try to bait the special 1s, because those are easier to bait. And obviously whenever you knock him down that he has both of his senses, he's going to go fully unblockable on his special 1. So depending on how fast you try to swipe through that animation, you could get clipped in one of those hits. But I've gotten pretty confident and comfortable evading his special 1, so there's no issues there. But again, Hitmonkey is super squishy, so the fight is going pretty fast here. He's already down to 12%. I just need to do a couple more combos and probably finish him off. So going into section 2, I have this Cosmic Ghost Rider on path 5. This is the one that requires you to intercept to be able to do your full damage. The thing with Cosmic Ghost Rider, he on defense triggers those judgments pretty quickly, because if you land any hits on him, it's going to give him the armor ups. You saw that he was pretty quick with throwing his special 1. I had applied a stagger right before that. And that kind of nullified his unblockable buff. But that already puts him at 3 judgments. And obviously with Cosmic Ghost Rider, there's only so many judgments that he can apply unless he makes some mistakes in the fight, such as getting hit by a full combo, or if you end up pushing him to certain specials that he's going to activate the Cruelty or the Fury. But this is a good placement for him because it's going to push you into having to evade his special 1s that sometimes can get tricky with the timing. But obviously too, if he manages to get to his 5 judgments, in this case the defender here wasn't duped, but if it's a duped champion, I've seen some fights that the gen damage is pretty nasty because of the Sadist node that's also part of this fight here. But no issues, I was able to get my intercepts pretty close to when I was filling up my 3 bars of power, and then I was able to walk through that fight easily. And here we have this Rhino on the next fight up that also has Ebb and Flow Intercept. Obviously with Rhino, that's much harder to pull off unless you put yourself at risk to eat some hits from him going passively unstoppable and then canceling your intercept. This is a common placement for him, either the first node in the path or the second one. So my strategy here is to basically just clip him on the corner and then try to get to my special 2 as much as I can. I noticed that he's running real power, so that's really beneficial, that I'm not going to have to worry about Redoubled determination and pushing him to a special 3 eventually. The other thing that I noticed, and it was odd, is that the person that placed this Rhino was running suicides, and it might have been the reason that Rhino was placed on this node is because the protection that comes with Ebb and Flow will also reduce the damage that recoil will cause. But in any case, even with those reduced amount, and then just playing pretty safe here with Warlock, even though I just had taken that hit to my face when he went unblockable and I wasn't ready for that. The fight is going pretty quick, and I don't have any concerns that he would cost me a death here. And at this point of the fight, we had a couple options to go against this Hulkbuster boss. We were thinking about sending a Magneto if we had the war in a very tight situation that one death could have cost us the win. So I decided to put out my Tigra for some fun in this boss fight. I've had an encounter with Hulkbuster on a Stunning Reflection mini boss earlier in the season, and that didn't go perfectly for me. I still was able to get the full attack bonus, but I definitely had my revenge in mind, trying to get a better performance using Tigra. She's such a great champion that if you play her right, she's going to put out a ton of damage, and it's the passive red numbers that a lot of people tend to ignore. So right here, I prefer to go with the special 3. I've seen that Fintech, he's at the 69, and he's an exceptional Tigra player. Based on some tips that he shared with me right before I jumped into this fight, I decided to go for the special 3 because that's going to more than double the damage that comes from the ruptures. on my future special 2s. So the strategy here, Hulkbuster's special 1 is pretty easy to evade, and then you can get your spacing correctly and then immediately counter with your heavy attack. And basically Tigra's mechanic is that the more ruptures that you have applied into the opponent, that's going to ramp up her damage. And then with her sense, the blue sense that I always forget the name, it's going to give her a lot of power back and then allow you to keep spamming those special 2s. And as you can see here, all that it took for me to get the solo was a few special 2s and he's already down. So that was definitely pretty awesome to go through that fight and not have any issues. So I enjoyed having that opportunity to use Tigra, and definitely that she's a champion that I want to use more often in war and build confidence, because she can go through so many tough fights that a lot of alliances still are not prepared to set up in a way that opposes Tigra from, just cruising through those nodes without any issues. And right here, I just wanted to take a quick look on how my stats are shaping up to be this season. There's obviously a few more wars to go, and the focus will remain strong for us to finish that strong and try to avoid deaths as much as possible. I feel pretty fortunate to have had the opportunity to take a bunch of fights throughout the season, and there were some wars that I had to be in a more secondary role in my battle group, but obviously I'm pretty satisfied with how I've been doing. Obviously I would prefer that I didn't have any deaths at all, but we can only do so much in terms of getting those difficult fights in and trying to do the best for the alliance. And as we look to close out the last week of season 24, there's obviously more effort and dedication that takes place from everybody within the alliance. So I'm pretty sure that most of us are ready to sit back and relax for a couple weeks after the season ends. So hopefully we will have some favorable matchups. So again, thanks again for watching. If you would like, please leave a like and a comment with your thoughts on how some of these fights went, especially the Tigra fight. And let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Thank you.